Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel Tech with Ankush again. So currently I am covering the AZ-104 series and I had covered this configure and manage virtual network for Azure Administrator part. And from today I will start this manage identities and governance in Azure part. And first of all, I will start the first module, that is understand Microsoft Entra ID, and it's a theory part. So in today's video, I will cover this introduction thing, then examine Microsoft Entra ID, then compare Microsoft Entra ID and as an Active Directory domain services. And in the next video, I will cover this examine Microsoft Entra ID as a directory service for cloud apps. Then I will compare the Entra ID P1 and P2 plans, then examine Microsoft Entra ID domain services. So, this understand Microsoft Entra ID will be divided in two parts. So let me start now. So what is Microsoft Entra ID? Nowadays, we call it Microsoft Entra ID, but earlier it was known as Azure Active Directory. Okay, this one. And what is Microsoft Entra ID? Like Microsoft Entra ID is like a Active Directory, but it's built for the cloud. It's Microsoft managed service, meaning we don't install or manage servers. It is handled by Microsoft, or Microsoft does it for us. And it's a part of PaaS, like platform as a service. We just use it and we don't manage the underlying infrastructure. Like Microsoft manage the infrastructure for us. We just use the service, the Entra ID service. And what we can do with Microsoft Entra ID? With Microsoft Entra ID, we can securely manage access to cloud apps like Microsoft 365, Salesforce, or any software as a service app or on-premises app through VPN or application proxy. And it gives us powerful identity and access management features such as like single sign-on means login once and we can access all our apps. We don't need to remember many passwords for different apps. Then multi-factor authentication, like it adds an extra security step like OTP on our phone to verify our identity. Then user and management group, like it add, remove or manage user accounts and group permissions easily. We can simply add, remove or manage user accounts or groups permissions easily. Then it also provides like identity protection, meaning like it detects suspicious sign-in attempts or unusual activities or self-service and self-service password reset. Like user can reset their password by their own, no need to call any IT person. Federation means we can collaborate multiple organizations securely. Then conditional access, like we can define policies like allow access only from trusted devices or networks. Then integration with on-premises Active Directory, like we can connect our existing Active Directory domain service to Microsoft Entra ID using a intra-connect tool. So our users can sign in both on-premises and cloud apps with the same credentials. So what is a Microsoft Entra tenant? Let us examine. Like we have a company and that sign up for Microsoft cloud service like Microsoft 365 or Intune or Azure. So when we do that, Microsoft automatically creates a Microsoft Entra tenant for us or for our company. This tenant is like our own private space, or we can say directory in technical term, inside Microsoft huge cloud system. So let us assume we can think like our organization, it is like one apartment, and Microsoft cloud a huge building with many apartments, and each company has its own apartments. So each apartment, or we can say tenant, is separate from the others. What happens in one tenant doesn't affect another, and this design is called multi-tenant architecture. So Microsoft and Entra ID is multi-tenant by design, meaning millions of organizations use it at the same time, but each one gets its own isolated space. Each tenant is independent with its own users, groups, and applications. Microsoft manages all these tenants securely in the background. So even though everyone is using the same cloud service and their data and access are completely separate. So let us assume like this is a Microsoft cloud, okay, and it has lot of space, or we can say tenants. And let us assume there are two companies. This is A, and this is tenant for A, and this is for B. So users from A can't able to access or see the data of B, and same B can't able to see the access or data of A. So like this A can't able to see any data or any able to access any data of any other tenant. So we can say like even though both are hosted on Microsoft servers, Microsoft company A users can't see or access company's B data because each has a different Microsoft Entra tenant. Means this A company and B company, they have different Microsoft Entra tenant. And so what does a tenant represent? So there are two ways to think about a tenant. Like business view, a tenant usually represents a company or organization that has signed up for Microsoft Cloud Service, like Microsoft 365, Intune, or Azure. And if we talk about technical view, a tenant is an instance of Microsoft Entra ID, a unique directory that stores our organization, users, groups, and apps. Now, tenants and Azure subscriptions. So, every Azure subscription must be connected to one and only one Microsoft Entra tenant. Means each subscription must be connected to one Microsoft Entra tenant. And this connection is important because it lets us control who can access what in our Azure environment using RBAC, like role-based access control. So, like if we have Azure subscription and a Microsoft Entra tenant, we can assign roles like owner, contributor, or reader to users and groups from that tenant. Now, can we have more than one tenant? Yes, we can create multiple Microsoft Entra tenants within the same Azure subscription. This is useful when we want to test or experiment with settings in one tenant like a lab environment without affecting our main production tenant. But remember, at any given time, each subscription can be connected to only one tenant. Now, can one tenant control multiple Azure subscription? Yes. We can link the same tenant to several Azure subscriptions. This way, we can use the same users and groups across all subscriptions and manage resources more easily. Example, if our company has three subscriptions, like for development, test, and production, we can connect all of them to the same Microsoft Entra tenant so the same users and admin can access resources across all environments. Now, default and custom domain names, like when we create a Microsoft Entra tenant, Microsoft gives it a default domain name. Let me show you. So now this is the domain name which Microsoft has given to me, like Ankush1Thakur11 gmail.on Microsoft.com. So same here, like it looks like this, our company name dot on Microsoft.com. So this is the default domain name given by Microsoft when we create a Microsoft Entra tenant. And this own.microsoft.com is a part is added to Microsoft by automatically by Microsoft. But most companies, they want to add their own custom domains like our company or abc.com. So users can log in using their normal work email address like contoso.onmicrosoft.com, or we can also uh, make our own domain. Like we can remove this, we can add our domain and it will show up like contoso.com. Or if I have a company and its name is like, let me explain you. Like I have a company abc.com, so I can also use this domain. So if the users from my company will log in on this Enter ID, they have to just log in like user one at abc.com. So they can also custom their domains. Like they can also use their own company domain. Now, tenant as a security boundary, like a Microsoft Entra tenant acts as a security boundary, meaning everything inside it, like users, groups, application, roles, etc., is controlled and protected within that tenant. So it's basically the container of our organization, entire identity setup in Microsoft Cloud. So now here is the working. Like whenever we register for cloud services or on Microsoft Entra ID, Microsoft will create a tenant for us, okay? And it is this one, Microsoft Entra tenant. And under this Microsoft Entra tenant, we can use one subscription or we can use multiple subscriptions. And then we will assign roles according to tenant or according to subscriptions, and then user will access to that part. Like then the users will access the resources. So this is the way Microsoft creates the Entra tenant for us. So now, what is Microsoft Entra schema? In Microsoft Entra ID, the schema defines what kind of object it can store, such as users, groups, devices, and application. So, and how this Microsoft Entra schema is different from Active Directory, or we can say ADDS. So, Microsoft Entra ID is simpler than Active Directory domain service, meaning like it has fewer object types. Like Microsoft Entra ID contains fewer object types than ADDS. Example, ADDS has many object types like users, computer, printers, OUs, etc. But in Microsoft Entra ID, it only focus on users, group, devices, and application. Not everything ADDS does. And Microsoft Entra ID, like it has no computer class, it has only device class. Means like in ADDS, computers are treated as special computer objects that join the domain, like joining our PC to the company network. But in Microsoft Entra ID, there is no computer class. Instead, there is a device class. This means we join devices to Microsoft Entra ID, not computers. The joining process is different. It's cloud-based, not network-based. Example, in ADDS, our computer joins the domain. In Microsoft Entra ID, our laptops, phones, registers, or joins to the cloud directory. The schema is extensible and reversible, means the Microsoft Entra schema is flexible. We can add extra properties or we can say extensions if our organization needs to store additional information about user or devices. And if we don't need them later, we can simply remove them. Like it is fully reversible. So it makes it easier to customize without breaking the system. And like no group policies or traditional management. Like in ADDS, administrators can manage computers and users using GPU or group policy objects. And like GPU, it allow administrators to make any changes on wallpaper, or they can set rules like wallpaper settings, software restrictions, password policy, etc. But in Microsoft Entra ID doesn't support GPO, group policy objects, because it doesn't have computer domain membership. So we can't manage computers in the traditional on-premises way. Instead, Microsoft Entra introduces a modern management approach. So here is the modern management approach for cloud-based services. Like instead of group policy, we use cloud-based management tools such as Microsoft Intune. This Microsoft service is used for managing devices and applying policies. Then Microsoft Entra ID, it is used for managing users, apps, and access. Together, these tools can securely manage user access, control which devices can sign in, enforce compliance of policies, then provide cloud-based authentication. Example, instead of applying a policy from our local network, we can apply it from the cloud and it reaches users' devices wherever they are. And now Microsoft Entra ID, like the main, we can say Microsoft Entra ID's main strength is identity and access management, not device management. It is best at storing user, device, and application data, authenticating users and devices, then authorizing access. And it does this at a global scale, handling billion of logins every week for services like Microsoft 365, cloud apps, etc. In Active Directory domain services, we create organizational units like folders to organize users and computers, example by department. But in Microsoft Entra ID, there are no organizational units. And here we use groups instead of organizational units. Group can be used for assigning permissions, applying policies, organizing users locally, like HR, IT, or sales team. So we still get flexibility just in simpler cloud-based way. Now, applications is in Microsoft Entra ID. Applications are an important part of the Microsoft Entra schema. They are represented by two classes. One is application object, like think of it as a blueprint or definition of an app. It describes what the app is and how it behaves. Example, app definition that says this app needs users to sign in with Entra ID. Then there is service principal object. This is the instance of that application in our specific tenant. It is created automatically when we register or connect an app. Example, if an app exists globally like Microsoft Teams, our company tenant will have its own service principal for Teams, and it is created automatically, this service principal object, and its local copy that connects to our organization. This separation is powerful because we can define an app once, then use it in many tenants by creating service principal object in each tenant. Now compare Microsoft Entra ID and Active Directory domain services. Like both Active Directory domain service and Microsoft Entra ID are directory services, meaning they help manage users, devices, and access permissions. But ADDS works on on-premises local network environments. Microsoft ID, Entra ID works for the cloud world. So we can think like ADDS equal to local company environment and Microsoft Entra ID like cloud-based identity service for Microsoft 365, Azure, or web apps. So let us now go a little bit deep. Like what is Active Directory domain service? ADDS is the traditional directory service that organization installs on Windows Server inside their offices or data center. Like ADDS, we install it on our servers, which is located on the on-premises. And it has these characteristics, like it is hierarchical structure. It has hierarchical structure. Like ADDS is organized like a tree with domains, organizational units, and groups. It uses DNS, domain name system, like it helps computers find each other inside the network, like finding domain controllers. Then authentication with Kerberos, like users sign in using the Kerberos protection, a secure ticket-based system. Then LDAP, it uses LDAPs, like administrator can search or manage ADDS using LDAP. Then GPO, user group policy, IT admins can apply rules or settings to multiple controller computers, like password rules, desktop, wallpaper, etc. Include computer object, like every computer that joins the domain appear as an object in ADDS. Uses trust between domain, like this allow multiple domain to share resources securely. Can run on Azure VM. We can still install ADDS on Azure virtual machine, but it's the same old Active Directory, just hosted in the cloud, not Entra ID. So these are, I can say, features or characteristics of ADDS. Now, Microsoft Entra ID. Microsoft Entra ID, or we can say, earlier it was called Azure AD, is Microsoft Cloud-based identity service. It is designed for internet-based apps and services like Microsoft 365, Azure, or software as a service applications. And the characteristics of Microsoft Entra ID, like its cloud-native identity solution. It's built for the internet, like it works over HTTP, HTTPS ports 80 and 443. It has flat structure, like it has no OU, organizational unit, or no GPO, group policy objects, like everything is managed in one layer. We don't have subfolders or group policies like in ADDS. Then it has multi-tenant service, like many organizations share the same Microsoft infrastructure securely. Each one is a tenant. Then modern authentication protocol, like instead of Kerberos, it uses SAML, WS, Federation, OpenID Connect, and Oath for authorization. And no LDAP, like we can access data using REST APIs, not LDAP. Federation with other services like Entra ID can trust and connect with external identity providers, like we can connect it with using Google or Facebook. Then it has access management for cloud app, like it handles single sign-on for cloud apps like 365, Salesforce, etc. Like we don't have to type the password again and again. We can just use a single sign-on. So today I have covered till this compare Microsoft Entra ID and Active Directory domain services. And tomorrow I will cover these three topics. So that's all for today. Thank you for watching. Have a wonderful day.